Smart solutions. Add-on desired.
Today we are going to discuss about another microorganism called as what? Virus, which can also, now we know the importance of virus after we seeing this disease called as what? A COVID or corona, etc. So that is virus. But that virus has a positive corner as well as negative corner, we can say. Let us discuss about all that about the virus. Study of virus is called as virology. Study of virus is called as virology. Now today discuss about this virology. So living things, non-living things. What are living things? Plants, animals, protists, fungi, bacteria. What are non-living things? Water, soil, air, light, minerals. This we know differentiation. We know we are studying from earlier classes in our early class onwards. Even we studied in our school days that there is a difference between a living things and non-living things. Let us see the differences here in what? In a virus. Life depends on which type of process? Life depends upon so many processes like metabolic activities. The smallest organism is the microorganism that arises from less number of cells. This life depends upon two processes, which is nothing but physical and chemical. That physical and chemical process only we call them as a metabolic process. Now virus is a living organism or non-living organism. Just now we know what are living and what are non-living. Now virus is a living or non-living organism. Why? Because virus is acellular, means no cell, and it has a no cell means no metabolic activities. So when there is no metabolic activities, it should be called as what? A non-living organism. So it possessing the non-living characters. Let us see whether it has living characters or not. Virus is a unique group. It is, instead of saying virus, you should say it's a biological entity that known to infect every type of cell. It can attack every type of cell. So just now I was saying virus is a non-living. Best example will be no metabolic activities, no cell, non-living. But virus can attack other people. When it can attack other people, how it can attack? By releasing its nucleic acid. So when it has nucleic acid, better to call virus as a living organism. So virus having living characters and non-living characters. That's why we called virus as a connecting link between living organisms and the non-living organism. So connecting link between living and non-living is nothing but virus. That virus should be called as biological entities. Why? Because it infects every type of cell. A virus can attack algae. When virus attack algae, we call that as phycophages. When virus can attack fungi, when it attacks fungi, we call them as mycophages. It can attack protozoans, it can attack plants, then we call them as phytophages. Then it can attack animal, then we call them as zoophages. It can attack bacteria, so then we can call them as bacteriophages. That means it can attack every type of cell. That means this is the one which compulsory requires a host. So this ghost, so virus is a ghost on a host. The host may be anything. Without host it cannot survive because it is acellular. It takes the help of other cells for living its life. Once it get infect other cell, it take over the machinery of other cell and start producing its own particles. That's why we call the virus cannot live without host. We call virus as a obligate, and it goes inside the cell, intracellular parasite. So which is a obligate intracellular parasite means a virus. So this is that. So virus are not composed of cell. Yes, they are acellular, cannot be seen under light microscopes. And this virus generally, what is the genetic material means RNA. Generally is RNA means it generally should possess RNA. Sometimes it possesses DNA also. But it should have only one single nucleic acid. That single nucleic acid typically, usually, generally should be RNA, but it also has DNA. So it should have either RNA or DNA, never will be both. Next, In virus, nucleic acids are enclosed in a protein coat made up of lipids, proteins and carbohydrates. So what virus actually made up of? Let us think this is an example of a virus. So virus has two things. One is, this is called the protein coat, which can be called as, simply speaking, as capsid. This protein coat is called as capsid, and inside is the nucleic acid. So virus has only two things, nucleic acid and the protein coat, and that nucleic acid is usually RNA, but sometimes it can also have DNA. So simply speaking, what is virus? So it has RNA plus protein coat usually, that's why it is called as ribonucleoprotein. So what is virus? We can call it a ribonucleoprotein because it's made up of RNA plus protein coat. That protein coat is called capsid. That capsid is made up of subunits. That subunits are called as capsomeres. So virus do not exhibit most of the life process. That means no metabolic because it is acellular, right? And it is inert, but maintain genetic continuity. Means how it maintains genetic continuity? Because of its nucleic acid. So it has nucleic acid. With that nucleic acid, it do multiplication, it undergo mutations. So uncertainly more than lifeless molecules they are. More than lifeless molecule, but they have their own life. So better to call the connecting link between the non-living and living organisms. So viruses are described as infectious particle. One person called as what? Bejernik. According to him, virus is a contagium vivum fluidum. So contagium vivum fluidum, what is virus according to Bejernik? That is nothing but living infectious fluid, nothing but living infectious fluid. And study of virus is called virology. So the compulsory requires host, that's why they call obligate intracellular parasite. Without host, the virus cannot survive, right? Let us do some bits on this. The study of virus is called as what? The study of virus is called virology, which is one of the branch of microbiology. Next, which are obligate parasite? Obligate parasite is virus because they cannot survive in the absence of host. If somebody requires host compulsory, it is called obligate parasite. Virus is obligate parasite. Which are best described as infectious particles? Virus are best described as infectious particles. Contagium vivum fluidum according to Bejernik. Right. Let us study the discovery and classification structure of this virus. Next, here, if you see the discovery, a Russian pathologist, we call him as what? Ivanovsky, he was studying a virus called as tobacco mosaic virus, which is causing a disease called as tobacco mosaic disease. So he has taken or he has filtered the sap of that diseased tobacco leaf and given to the what we can say the fresh rice plants. Even that rice or even the tobacco also suffering from this infectious disease. That clearly indicates that something is moving from that sap or the filtered sap into that healthy tobacco, which is also started studying, which is also it started suffering from the disease called tobacco mosaic disease. So that's why simply speaking we can call virus as an infectious agent. Even it can pass through the filter papers also. Next, that's what is called filter 8. The filtered sap was injected to a healthy plant. The same symptoms of mosaic disease were also seen in that what we can say healthy plant. This is because even though that filtration also, even when you filter the extract, even though you filter the extract, it has passed through that filter 8. So it is filterable. It is can pass. Even you can say it is smaller than the bacteria. So who is smaller than the bacteria means virus. So a person called as Bejernik, what he called means he called virus as a contagium vivum fluidum, living infectious fluid. And next to person called as W.M. Stanley, he is a man who crystallized the tobacco mosaic virus, right? And Franklin Conrad, he confirmed the genetic material of virus is RNA. They studied the tobacco mosaic virus. When they are studying the tobacco mosaic virus, they came to know RNA is the genetic material of the virus generally. Next, classification of virus. Actually, classification is generally done by according to ICBN, International Code of Binomial Nomenclature. But this classification was done by ICTV. This is called International Committee on Taxonomy of Virus. According to this ICTV, these are the ones which are concerned for giving nomenclature and classification of virus. According to this ICTV, in the classification it has only 3 hierarchy levels. Basically an organism has 7 hierarchy levels, but virus has only 3 hierarchy levels. In that one is family, a genus and species. So only 3 hierarchy levels according to ICTV. So the viruses are named after the disease. For example, if it causes polio, it is called polio virus. If it causes mosaic, tobacco mosaic virus. So that is named after the disease. Why? Because they are acellular. The family name should end with viridae and the genus name should end with virus. The species name should describe their nature while classifying. So ICTV hierarchy levels has what? 3 hierarchy levels: family, genus and species. Let us apply for this AIDS virus. We will see what's the family, what's the genus and what's the species. So classification of AIDS, nothing but acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that is caused by a virus belong to family Retroviridae, whose genus is lentivirus. The species is human immunodeficiency virus, simply called as HIV. That is a 3 hierarchy level for that AIDS. We can understand, so that virus has only 3 hierarchy levels. Now come to structure of virus. Virus size generally ranges from 300 nanometers. Best example for that is tobacco mosaic. So and that it may ranges from 300 nanometers to 20 nanometers. 300 best example is tobacco. For 20 nanometers best example will be parvovirus. And now come to virus can also show symmetry based upon the arrangement of capsomeres. So based on arrangement of capsomeres, it show a symmetry, right? Let us say helical symmetry, then they are called helical virus. These helical virus resemble the long rods that may be rigid or flexible. Rigid virus example rabies virus, flexible virus example tobacco mosaic virus. Next, so this is what rabies, bullet shaped. This is bullet shaped virus. This is what the helical virus called tobacco mosaic virus, and these are said to be the capsomeres which are arranged helically. And polyhedral virus, these are polyhedrous virus. Many animal virus, many plant virus, bacterial virus are polyhedral, means they show many sides. These are that many sided. Example herpes simplex and polio virus are best example for polyhedral viruses. Generally plant animal have that polyhedral virus shape. Enveloped virus, these viruses are roughly spherical. Very good example for enveloped virus is influenza virus. Next, bacteriophages. Let us study about bacteriophages to understand well about virus. What are bacteriophages? The virus which infect bacteria are called as bacteriophages, and they have complicated structures. That's why they are called complex virus. Here helical symmetry is present in tail, and the envelope contains a glycoproteins. So this is the bacteriophage. This part is said to be the head part. This part is said to be the tail part. So they are complicated structure because they have complex. They are called complex virus because of complicated structure. Why? Because if you see in tail, it has helical symmetry. If you see in the head, it has a cubic symmetry. So like this complex structure is there, that's why they call complex virus. And so tail will show helical symmetry, and this is the envelope which contains glycoprotein projections. That glycoprotein projections we can see, actually these are the glycoprotein projections. Even you can see in the present virus called coronavirus, even you can see in AIDS. So these are glycoprotein, these are called spikes. These spikes are generally useful for attachment virus to host cell. Very good example, this is measles virus. This is bacteriophage. Here the envelope should be called as capsid. Here the envelope has this spike-like structure called as spikes. Spikes are nothing but glycoprotein projection whose function is attachment to the host. Now this is the measles virus. These are said to be the spikes, which are glycoproteins, nothing but, which helps in attachment. This is the bacteriophage. You can see clearly this part is called head. This is called entire. This is called tail sheath. and this is called a tail, and near the base there has a plate called as tail plate. Attached to tail plate there will be some tail spikes and tail pins like this. Number of usually will take 6 tail spikes and 6 tail pins. Spikes helps in attachments, pins helps in making bores, making holes on the host, etc. Here head show cubic symmetry and tail show we say helical symmetry. All virus consists of two things. One is core and the protein coat called capsid. The core is nothing but the nucleic acid. So all virus made up of nucleic acid and protein, and that's why, and that nucleic acid is more commonly RNA. We can say virus as ribonucleoproteins. And there are some virus which we are flexible, which we call them as tobacco mosaic virus because of their capsomer arrangement. So the core is the nucleic acid. That nucleic acid will form its genome, and surrounding protein coat is called as capsid. Capsid is the one which give shape and protection to the genome. So who give protection to the who give protection to the nucleic acid? Nucleic acid is nothing but genome. Who give shape? Answer is capsid. Capsid is made up of protein subunits. Those subunits are called as capsomeres. Now viral genome consists of what? The genome consists of what? Genetic material. That genetic material may be usually should be RNA, even it may be DNA. That DNA is a usual DNA which is a double strand DNA. Even the virus shows single stranded DNA also. And the virus which generally infects plant plants should have what means this is not correct. Virus that infect plants generally have RNA. What is that RNA? Single stranded RNA. Virus that infects animals should have what? A double stranded DNA, right? And a virus which is having a double stranded DNA is bacteriophages, which we can say T2 bacteriophage, T4 bacteriophage, etc. So what we should say means, instead of this we can say these nucleic acids in a virus may be shape may be circular, shape may be linear. Usually the genetic material should be RNA, sometimes will be DNA. In that usual RNA is single strand RNA. So usually single strand RNA will be present. Example for single strand RNA virus is tobacco mosaic virus. Rarely double stranded RNA also present. This is very rare. Presence of RNA in a double strand is very rare. It can be seen only in virus, and that's only in some virus whose names are like blue tongue virus, parvi virus, maize dwarf virus, rice dwarf virus. So maize dwarf virus, rice dwarf virus, blue tongue virus, parvi virus, wound tumor virus, they show single strand RNA, which is very rare. And DNA should be, it may be usual DNA, which is double strand DNA. Example for double strand DNA is the bacteriophages, which called T1 bacteriophages. And rarely will be single strand, never DNA present single strand, only in virus it is single strand. Example for single strand is M13 bacteriophages, M13 and 5174 bacteriophages will show single stranded DNA. This is about the nucleic acids, right? The next one, if a virus attack plant, then the genetic material should be RNA. If a virus attack animal, if virus attack plant, RNA. Virus attack animal, it should be DNA. Compulsory, usually also you can say. So viral nucleic acids molecules are either circular or linear. Yes, it may be circular, linear. Most of the virus have single nucleic acid. Yes, it may be single nucleic acid, right? And that nucleic acid may be RNA or DNA, but never will both. Few virus have more than one nucleic acid. Means, for example, take HIV. They have two single stranded RNAs. So HIV have two single identical RNA molecule. So only few have two nucleic acid, but the two nucleic acid only one type, but not both types. This is HIV, which has two nucleic acids, that is both are single strand RNA. This is papillomavirus whose genetic material is RNA. We call human papillomavirus that as tobacco mosaic virus. Tobacco mosaic virus causes a disease called tobacco mosaic disease. This is the tobacco mosaic virus, whose length is 300 nanometers long and the diameter is 80 nanometers. And the molecular weight of this TMV is 39 into 10 to the power of 6 Daltons. And this virus is covered by protein coat called as, this whole is the protein coat called as capsid. That capsid is made up of capsomeres, which are nothing but protein subunits. The protein subunits are 2130 protein subunits are present in this TMV, which are nothing but capsomeres, which are arranged helically also. The capsomers are identical arranged in a helical manner around the central space of 4 nanometers, nothing but 40 Armstrongs. Each capsomere is made up of single polypeptide. That single polypeptide made up of 158 amino acids. If you want, you can count total number of amino acids present in TMV by multiplying the total number of capsomeres into number of amino acids in one capsomere. That is 2000. That is 158 in one capsomere. 2130. How much? If you do, you will get that one. So inside the protein capsid, there is a single stranded spirally coiled RNA molecule. Yes. Here this single strand RNA is a genetic material. This single strand RNA is made up of 6500 nucleotides. You should remember that one. Next, bacteriophages. We know what this is a bacteriophages. Just now we studied this is the tail, this is the sheath, tail sheath. This is the base plate which has tail spikes and tail spins, etc. So we can call them as T2 or T4, T even. T even means we can say T2, T4. This T4 bacteriophage can be distinguished into two parts. One is head and another is tail. This is head and this is tail. Between the head and tail there is a small region called as collar, whose function is unknown till today. And this base plate has what? Tail pins. This has what? Tail pins and tail fibers. Tail fibers helps in attachment to the host, tail pins helping making the holes on that host, etc. This is what overall diagram of T4 bacteriophage. This is the head part, this is the tail part. Head is hexagonal in shape, which is showing a cubic symmetry, and tail, this is the tail, which shows a helical symmetry. So there is the combination of cubic symmetry plus helical. If both symmetries are there like that, we call that as a binal symmetry. Very good example for binal symmetry is T1 bacteriophages. Between the head and the tail, a small region is there called collar, whose function is unknown. Tail is surrounded by sheath. This is called tail sheath. When the tail sheath contracts, what happens? The genetic material present in that head will enter into the host. So tail sheath is in contraction, inject the genetic material of the virus into the host plant. And here the T1 bacteriophage genetic material is DNA, which is double stranded DNA. And the special about this double stranded DNA is this is 1000 times bigger than the phage. So who is bigger? The phage is bigger, its genetic material. Its genetic material is bigger than this phage 1000 times, we can say. So the tail helps the virus to get attached to the host cell. Tail sheath helps in injecting the viral genetic material, this is a tail sheath, into the host, etc. The spins make the holes on the host. The fibers give firm attachment to the virus on the host. Let us do some questions so that we can understand this topic clearly. Who crystallized TMV? W.M. Stanley. So virus can be crystallized. Who explained? That is W.M. Stanley. He was studying a virus called tobacco mosaic virus. Next, the virus resembles long rods. So long rod lights will be seen in case of what? Helical symmetry, etc. Long rods. Next, what are the examples of enveloped virus? Generally, enveloped virus are nothing but influenza virus. They have envelopes. Next, the virus which infect bacteria is called bacteriophages. Next, spikes of bacteriophages are useful for what purpose? For attachment to the host cell. We have seen that which are present for HIV. Even the present coronavirus also has that one. Thank you. I hope you understand this topic clearly.
Add-on solutions. Add-on